Hello everyone, welcome back to my messy out workstation and to part 2 of this HP Pavilion Media Center swap. We're going to start the video out today with a little benchmarking as I talk here. And what I got running here is the Heaven benchmark. Settings are set to actually 720p on high. That would probably be about where I think this should be on this system. So let's hit F9 here and start yapping. All right, benchmark is going. We'll start it out with the graphics card, I guess. This is a RX 460 2 gig card that I have in here. I didn't go any higher than that. You can if you want, if you're into the gaming and you think you want to spend the money on it. I thought it paired well with this Q9650. Down here below that, we can see a add-in card. That's the USB 3.0 that I was talking about, and you can see how it leads out there, and that actually plugs into the top. So we got USB on the top and a couple more USB in the back. Right here, this thing is a little adapter that adapts the DVI connection to a VGA so she can use it with her VGA monitor. That way she's getting full advantage of that graphics card in here. And then, of course, you can see the SSD drive. Here's her old hard drive. Different power supply. Yeah, this is totally looking good. This is going to get changed out. This fan right here for the CPU. You can see I cleaned it out. A lot better looking than what it looked the last time, huh? But I'm still going to change that. I'm actually going to put a Zalman in there. That's actually what I'm waiting for. A lot of this stuff that's in here now, it's just stuff that that's in there just to test, like these fans, for instance. These are some Fractal Design fans that are addressable RGB. Those are actually getting pulled out. I'm going to put some DeepCool fans in there. I'm just waiting for them to get here. I just put them in there temporarily so I can check out how the RGB is going to look on this thing. And if we can turn this around here a little bit, I guess you can see the front. That looks pretty nifty, huh? Not too bad. And then, of course, the memory, I bumped that up to 8 gigs, and then I put some RGB addressable covers on it. You know, it's a hell of a lot better than, you know, these plain old sticks that were in there, you know, these old Samsungs. So that's a nice improvement to it, too, with the Q9650 that's also in here. I didn't have too much trouble with this. I guess one of the problems that I did run into was right up in here for the CD-ROM drive. It actually would bump right up on this where the IDE would plug into on the board. So it just didn't really make it too much. But then again, if you look at this motherboard, this is a pretty long motherboard. I mean, most of them would come out to about, whoops, balance that up a bit, right about here, so about where this memory stick, this second one, stops. That's a typical micro ATX motherboard, but this is, you know, an older system. That's no big surprise that is a little bit more of an extended micro ATX than what you typically see these days. And if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't have been a problem. I could have got that CD-ROM drive in there, or burner drive in there. But it looks like I'm going to have to leave it out. I don't think that's going to be too much of a big deal for. Nobody really uses burners anymore these days anyways. It's kind of a waste. So, yeah, I think it's probably an acceptable loss. Also considering that, you know, it bumped it up to USB 3.0. And with the SSD in there, it boots considerably faster. I think it's well worth it to lose that. And it's going to look pretty cool with this Zalman in here once I get that in there. Hold on a second here. Let's take a look at this. I'll show you what we got. For the Unigine Heaven benchmark, I've got 82.7 frames per second with a score of 2084. You can see that. Minimum frames 9, maximum frames 149. That's with a Intel Core 2 Quad 9650 and a Radeon RX 460 2 gig. And here's the settings: Direct 3D 11, 1280 by 720, 2x anti-aliasing was on at full screen, and our quality setting was high. That's the Heaven benchmark, so that's decent, you know, decent enough. It could probably do 1080p. I tried 1080p and it crashed for some reason. Don't know what was up with that. I didn't try it again. I only tried it the one time. And I think I had that set on high as well. Might need to crank it down to like medium. I'm not too sure on the specifics on the Heaven benchmark to say why that happened. So I'm only just going to ponder that. But something that I can show you here real fast. Let this close up. Is if we go down here to YouTube, you can actually see, if you type in Q9650 and then RX 460 and Fortnite, you'll actually get quite a few benchmarks for a lot of these games here, and of course the Fortnite one would be up on top there. And if we check this out, we go right to the middle there just somewhere, so I have to start up with that crap. We can see, oh, look at this, 51 frames a second, 44. That's pretty playable. You know, pretty much the same graphics card. This one's got a little bit less memory than what I think this video is showing, but I think the setting detail on this one, yeah, look at this, benchmark at high settings. So yeah, you take her down to medium, and I think this guy, yep, is using 1080p. So yeah, you definitely get over 60 frames in Fortnite if that's your thing, and that seems to be the popular game nowadays and the one that people like to show benchmarks on. But that's what this system is capable of. So I mean, that's not bad, and there's no complaints about that. Now, let me close that up. Now back to that video card. Remember in the last video I said it was missing out of that other system? Well, it turns out the guy who worked on this, who, you know, just basically just all he did, people, let's just admit, anybody that's done this before knows, he just took one of these, popped it into the USB drive, sat back with his can of Red Bull, and you know, took a few minutes loading Zorin, stole the video card out of here, and called it a day. And then he charged her $100 for that. $100 to install Zorin and to steal your video card and leave the goddamn inside a mess. What do you say to that? You know, if somebody did that to me, I'd be beating their ass. Seriously, that's just wrong. But I don't know. I don't know what she's going to do about it. If I was her, I would maybe get the authorities involved. You know, I've seen that before, people stealing stuff from other computers. I've actually had it happen to my father-in-law before on a computer that I had built for him, where, you know, I live here in Iowa now, and he also lives in Nebraska, and he had taken it into a computer store over there, and the guy had pulled out his memory modules and replaced them with some lower capacity memory modules. And I had noticed it, you know, and at first he denied it. You know, oh no, I was like, oh bullshit. I said, I built it. I have the invoices for this, buddy. Don't tell me that you didn't, you know. And then he was like, oh, well, those modules were bad and blah. I was like, well, you know what? They're under warranty. Give them back and I will send them to Newegg for a replacement. you know, and then he had this thing like, oh, well, we got a policy, you know, where we throw out all the bad, you know, and bullshit. You know, I know what he did. It's pretty obvious. Like I said, I've seen this a bunch of times. They'll take them and they'll maybe put them in another computer. Maybe they'll put them in their own computer. They'll resell them, you know, just something to flip to make a buck off somebody else. And, yeah, I know the deal. You ain't bullshitting me. You know, cost her $100 to get ripped off. But, what I did with her, like I told her, I wasn't going to charge her. I told her, you know, if you want to pay me, go ahead, you know, pay me whatever. I don't care. I don't do this for money. I do it because, you know, I have fun doing it. But, I think, with what I've done with it, I think she, definitely has, easily recouped her $100 back for what I put in there, you know, with the RGB lights and on the memory modules and the RGB fans. I'll give you let's switch back to my other screen here, and I'll show you what I'm doing here that is going in here. It's going to be the DeepCool CF120s is what I'm replacing these fractal design fans with. Like I said, these fractal design fans are just temporarily, and I think they're kind of loud. Listen to this. Ain't that loud? I mean, I like fractal design, but I don't know. I think that's kind of loud. I mean, she ain't getting them anyways, but I mean, for what they are, I don't think I'm going to use them for another build. I bought these a while back because I wanted to check them out too. You know, I've seen a couple reviews on them, but I think they're kind of loud. And I've used the DeepCool CF120s before, and those are actually fairly quiet. So that'll be a nice little trade-off, I think. You know, plus this is a DeepCool case anyways, and I'll get to the case here in a minute. But something else we're adding here, and I'm just waiting for it to come in, is the CNP S9500 AT. This is kind of an old school Zalman. Old school. Yeah, this thing's probably just as old as this computer, but they still make them because it's a good cooler, and it's one of the few that are compatible with the Intel socket 775. So I thought, you know what, we're going to go old school with that. We're going to keep this thing nice and cool for her. I mean, I don't mind that stock cooler. It's an ASUS cooler, so it's probably pretty good quality. But, you know, this is what, like 11 years old. That thing's been spinning a while. I could re-oil it, I suppose. I wouldn't expect much of it. So I think it's going to be better off if I just swap that out, give her something a little better. And that's what I'm waiting on. And I'll have to pull the motherboard to do that. I might be able to do it without pulling the board. We'll see. I've seen a couple people say, like on these HPs, that they'll put that mounting bracket on for that Zalman, and it bolts right in. They don't have to pull out that plate. But we'll see. I'll find out. But I might end up having to pull it anyways. I had actually tried doing some cable mod extensions here. I got one of them right here. And it was just kind of tight. I had a hard time getting that back on. Right now, I'm kind of focusing on the case itself, not so much the build. A couple complaints, couple bitches. Had a hard time. I mean, it worked, but it was kind of hard getting that back part on. So I finally decided, you know, hell with that. I pulled it back off, and I put the regular cables back on there, the ketchup and mustard. But that don't look, you know, too horrible, I guess, you know. There is one cable mod extension right there. I haven't put any combs on it, but I think I'm going to take that one out too for the EPS, and I'm just going to put the one for this one on, that just to take up a little bit less space there on the back of this case. I mean, this case is okay. You know, like I said, I ran into a little bit of problem there with that burner, and that's mainly because of the motherboard. You know, if the motherboard was standard size, the burner would have fit in there just fine, and, you know, so this really wouldn't be an issue. If you're thinking of buying this case, you know, if you're using a, you know, regular size damn motherboard besides something like this, but in case you're not, and you do have something that's a little more extended than a micro ATX, going, you know, side to side there, that's something you'll want to keep in mind if you want to plan to use a burner. But then nobody really uses a burner anyways, so no big deal. This hard drive rack is not removable. Wasn't too much of a big deal. There's a pretty good amount of space there, as you can see, to get your cables in for your power supply. So that's not too bad. But of course, you're not going to mount a radiator in there. It's got kind of a really weird system on the fans. There's two fans up front there. You know, you see those. One of them stops right about there and mounts in the front part, and the other one is right down there, so it kind of overlaps a little bit. That's, you know, odd, but I guess it works, and it kind of makes the overall height of the case a little shorter. You know, you're just kind of overlapping those, but that's kind of cool. I mean, I think it could probably use a little bit larger holes for a little more venting through. Not the worst, I guess, but yeah, it could have been a little bit better. No complaints about the backside. That went in fairly well. The power supply, you can see, I have mounted fan side up. You know, you can go either way. This one's got, you know, holes in the bottom with the filter on it, so you can have it, you know, sucking cool air in. But I figured since there is no top vents for heat to vent out at, I kind of wanted to get a little more flow going all the way through this case than what there is. And so I decided to mount this top side so that it's sucking air in, you know, that's coming in this way, going down there, going out there, just kind of keeping the flow going. That just makes a little bit more sense. I guess we'll find out when I do some thermals on it. Thermals ain't too bad, considering this is a stock fan. Let me switch back here to the VGA. We'll see what we're running right now. We just did that Heaven benchmark, and this has kind of been sitting here. CPU ID. And we can see right now at idle, we're sitting at about 41 on a couple of the cores, 36 on another, and 46. So, yeah, you know, that could be better. I'd ideally like to see that in the lower 30s or even lower than that if we could at idle. Like I said, I think a lot of that has to do with no upward venting out of here. So I'm hoping that Zalman that I install, which, you know, blows this way, will do a little better job too at cooling, since we don't have that upward flow. You know, the original case didn't have the upward flow either. But I don't know what the thermals were on that. I didn't really bother with that too much. But I want to make sure this is staying nice and cool. I mean, I can actually, I'm not going to say it's hot, but I can actually put my hand right here and feel a little bit of a temperature difference. A little bit. You know, I mean, it's not warm, but I can, you know, from putting my hand here where the cool air is coming in to right here, you can actually feel something. And that's, you know, I can just imagine what it was like in the old case. It was probably a lot hotter than that, considering this one's got more going through. And then, of course, this case does have a tempered glass. I think this is probably one of the cheapest tempered glass cases you can find, which is pretty cool looking. So, you know, that way she can see all the cool lighting effects that are going on inside. What else is there to cover on this? I don't think there's too much. Overall, though, I think the performance on this is fantastic. I mean, you know, it's too bad I never got to see the performance on it before that, because it had Zorin. And I had Windows Vista on here temporarily, and like I had said before, that was just to update the BIOS and what have you. But it seems to be running perfect now. I just got a little more of this and that to do on this, and looks like this is a wrap. So that's it for this build. I hope Chrissy likes it. I will see you guys all in the next build, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.